last, where do you go from there at a cornerback? I know you last 2 games you had to go without him, but if he's, assuming he's out long term with the surgery and everything, where do you go from there? How do you rebound at the cornerback?
Well, we got to keep going just like we have been. You know, hopefully Trey Avery will be back in the picture soon. He did some really good things throughout the course of training camp, and before he was injured, you know, really liked where he was from a progress standpoint. And Avery will continue to play, and you know, we've got to just keep getting better and go along as we are. The guys are back there working hard, and you know, as you know, our depth situation is a little bit touchy right now. So the guys that are in there are doing the best that they can do and working hard at it, and that's how we're going to move forward.
How disappointing was the pass rush on Saturday? And Kansas had given up about 3.5 sacks a game going in. It didn't seem like you guys were able to get any real pressure on the whole day.
You know, that isn't near as front and center to me, obviously, as the things that happened in the rush defense. So, you know, they didn't throw the ball as much, and they didn't have to because of the way the game went. So I think the frequency or the opportunities, I guess, maybe is a better way to put it, for our chance to rush the passer weren't as great. And so, you know, fewer opportunities, less results is how that's going to work. But, you know, we affected some throws. Sometimes you're not always going to get sacked. Sometimes it's going to be just pressures. And, you know, we are never where we want to be, obviously. But, you know, I think that's an area that's ongoing and we'll continue to look at.
How difficult is it for a kid like Avery Young, who doesn't have a lot of experience, to be learning on the fly and learning, you know?
Well, you look across the country, you know, a lot of teams have a freshman or two, or maybe more than that are playing. And, you know, fortunately for him, he's one of the guys that's on the field right now who has not had to have multiple roles. As you guys know, we've got several people on our side of the ball, and probably on offense too, that are having to learn more than one position because of our depth situation. So from his standpoint, at least he's been able to stay in that one spot and continue to do the same types of things, you know, throughout training camp in the first 3 games. And so as the season progresses, hopefully he just continues to get better at what he does. But he is in a groove, at least, of being able to play the same calls and the same assignments, which is a good thing.
Jay, there were a number of missed tackles, particularly behind the line of scrimmage. How big of a concern is that, and how do you go about, you know, correcting that issue?
Yeah, we addressed the tackling issue, and I felt like the first 2 weeks of the season, you know, we tackled pretty well as a group. Never perfect, obviously, but in games 1 and 2, I thought that the tackling was pretty crisp. I think where a lot of those issues came into play in this game were, you know, the result of us being worn down, being on the field. You know, I asked at one point from the box what our snap count was late in the first quarter. We had taken, I think, 27 snaps. So that's on pace to break 100 snaps over the course of the game. It didn't turn out that way just because of the flow of the game and, you know, some of the things that happened just from the standpoint of game management. But, you know, usually when you worry about being gassed, it's later in the game. But, you know, we got gassed early just because we were out there in the first quarter so frequently. So some of the things that, you know, happened as a result of, you know, from a tackling standpoint, I think had to do with that, just back-to-back series and reps, and again, not having a lot of guys to roll through there. So we just got to continue to work on the fundamentals and the techniques and really press the guys to stick with those fundamentals and techniques even when they are tired. And the point I made to the guys on the bench is, and this is you know, something that I think you always look at too, is are you getting other guys off blocks and running to the ball? And inevitably there are going to be missed tackles in a football game, obviously more than what we wanted in this particular case, but if there is a breakdown somewhere at the point of attack, you got to get other people running the football and being able to clean up some of those mistakes.
Jay, part of coaching is probably about, you know, gauging the pulse of your team, your locker room, your defensive guys. You give up 50 points 2 weeks in a row. What's the psyche of the team want? How do you improve, you know, the mental approach, I guess, to giving 50 points in a game? Well,
you know, as I told the guys in the unit meeting yesterday, you're never as good as you think, you're never as bad as you think. Somewhere in between is reality. You know, we had 6 plays that broke out in the run game. It totaled over 200 yards. There's 38 other rushing attempts that they had, that when you average it out, netted about 4 yards per carry, which is not our goal. Our goal is 3.3. That's a little bit high, but it's a number that you can at least live with. So I think what you have to do is just realize that it's not broken. It's not like everything's just falling apart. But you have to play a complete game, and you have to be consistent doing it. And even if it's just 5 or 6 plays, in the case of those 5 or 6 runs that broke out, hey, they broke out. We're accountable. We're responsible. Those points go on the board. And we've got to find a way to obviously not let that happen. But we had some issues with run fits, and again, some guys playing in positions they weren't quite used to playing. But we just got to go back and just continue to stress staying with the process and not press the panic button, because when you put the film on, honestly, there are lots of good plays in there too. And we got to just realize when we don't do it right, what it looks like, and when we do it right, what it looks like.
You mentioned lack of depth. Did Mohammed Wainwright, did you have to play him at linebacker? Is that a new role for him? Or
We did put him in the Sam backer spot for a couple of snaps. We tried to give Tyreek Williams a few blows in the game. That was one way to do it. The other was to go to nickel. Again, with some of the injuries in the secondary, it's not like you can live in nickel all day either, because those guys got to find ways to have some breaks too. So we're trying to manage that through that personnel move.
Any other questions?
Okay, thanks guys. Appreciate it.